That's you know what that's what we should do. That's what we should do. You know how what is it? They do shake and bake. We should do rub it and tug it.
I mean, that's a very specific encounter. Welcome everybody to toys. A different type of toys. We started with Seth right away. We have Seth. Seth is our guest. Most of you should know Seth. If you do not know Seth, you're going to get to know him over the next hour-ish of time. And I'm glad to have Seth. It's always fun when Seth and I get to live stream. Usually it goes off the rails in a fun way. It's
Yeah, there's always chaos that assumes at some point. But thanks for having me on, Dubby. I miss your buddy. I'm glad we're able to catch up and do this. And looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks and wrapping my arms around you and giving you a giant bear hug.
Yeah, so we're gonna catch up in person in just a few weeks, right? I can't remember when this was, but there was a time that we streamed that I lit the KFC chicken log in the fire pit on the back porch.
Oh, that was.
It's with Mike too. I have no concept of time when that was.
Oh, I think that was maybe
like New Year's Eve or something, maybe, right?
No. I think that was before we went away and we did ICCC. I think because we stayed overnight. We stayed overnight at your house, and then we got up the next morning, and that's when we drove to Tennessee.
I all about that.
Yeah,
all about that. I don't know when that was. 22.
Oh,
summertime 22, maybe about 2 years ago. Over 2 years
possibly.
Well. We're going to get into some of that kind of silliness, but we have two things we're going to talk about first before Seth and I dive in. The first one is this Saturday, 6 days away at Charlie's Collectible Show. We have a Legions meetup, and we have our friends from Ginger Kid Collectibles that are sitting backstage, and I'm going to add to stage. Hello, Ginger Kid Collectibles. And they will be running the table and giving away lots of stuff. It's a very generous thing. This Saturday coming up, it's from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Go through the details first. Charlie's Collectible Show. It's in Stone Mountain, Georgia, but it is Atlanta area. I have posted endlessly. I feel like I have said, join me July 20th at Charlie's Collectible Show. I said it to a guy at the Mexican restaurant when I asked for more chips. I asked him if he's going to join me. I've said it a lot. But we are excited. We've got Ginger Kid on here for a few minutes to promote what we're doing from Singapore. Hey, salutations as well. Ginger Kid Collectibles, what are you excited about? 6 days away. What do you think's going to be?
I think it's going to be great, man. We've had a lot of people say that they're coming. We've had a really good response just from the posts and everything that you've been making, that we've been sharing, stuff that Charlie's been doing. We've got a lot of events going on. Not only are we going to be able to sell at table prices, we've got some fire that the studio provided. We have the full wave of Cosmic. Of course, we have other Mythic figures that we're going to be able to sell at table prices as well. And there's a lot of tiered stuff that we're doing. So the more you spend, you're going to get free stuff. What he's showing you right now is like the grail of grails. We've never even seen this listed on eBay. So I've actually had multiple people from the cabal hit me up saying that if the person that wins it doesn't want it, to give them their contact information.
Me too. I think that's one of the more unique things that's happened is I've had several people say, please let people know I'm ready to buy upon that thing being purchased. That and they're all friends of mine. So I'm not exactly sure what to do. I think it's going to become a bidding effort. They're what I think will be fascinating. So this is a Kickstarter, Seth, from the very first wave of Mythic Legions test shot. The figure itself is like a $300 or $400 figure on eBay. It's a test shot of that. So, I mean, very generous donation from the studio for us to give away. I am very curious to see if that thing shows up on eBay in the first 24 hours after the event. Because we'll know who it is. Like, we'll know who won it.
I mean, we'll know who put it out there. We might as well, if they don't really want it, man, we could always do like a live auction because there's a lot of people that are very interested in that figure.
I am hopeful that it goes to somebody that does like Legions, collects Legions in some capacity, and not to just now. If the random person that happens to be there and buys an item and gets a ticket and wins, great, they win. I mean, they're the winner. That's the way these things work. But I do hope it goes to somebody that wants it in their collection, honestly, because it's
agreed.
I want it. I mean, I'm struggling.
Again, I have said to multiple people, I'm so glad they shipped that figure to you, because I don't know if it got to me, I would have advertised it. I may have come up with something else. I'm just being honest, man. So
when Jeremy sent me the picture, I was like, I very clearly said, is that a Jordan Ruin shape or test shot? Because he just said, oh, I found something really good. And he sent me the picture. I'm like, dude, I mean, really good. I just thought anything would be fine. It would be cool to give away.
I mean, yeah.
So that, but because we got Seth on here, Seth, we're also giving away X-Men '97 Rogue Marvel Legends signed by the voice actor. Now that is not me. That
doesn't do me. See, but you know what? That doesn't do any good, because I would open it up and I would destroy it, and then people would be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he did that." But
when I saw the Ginger Kid, they have 3 signed Marvel Legends by the voice actors that were in person in November at Retro Toy Con last year. So Wolverine, Beast, and Rogue, and that Wolverine and Rogue figures themselves are $100 figures.
Yeah, it's crazy. They've shot up. So it makes the signature now even more valuable. So that's another item that's going to be raffled off. Basically you spend, $40, you get a raffle ticket. The more that you spend, the more raffle tickets you're going to get. Then we also have giveaways at certain levels, 400, 600, 800. And there's all kinds of good stuff to be had.
Lots of goodies.
If you spend $800, and that's a lot of money, I'm not minimizing that. If somebody comes and spends $800, they're going to get 9 raffle tickets at a chance to win what is potentially a $1,500, $2,000 figure at the end of the day. They're going to get however many Legions that buys, like 25, like a large number of Legions. And they're going to get like a free Mondo He-Man or Mondo Magneto or something like that.
Or that one. You can get a
that. I mean, if you just want to go set up your own table at the action figure swap after you make your purchase, you can probably make your money back.
Yeah, because there is going to be a swap going on. So not only that, we're going to have build your own figure. We're going to have you can come up to the table and there's going to be just parts, and you can go in and build your own figure.
What's up, Ish?
Pop and swap's going to be really fun.
Yeah,
we're going to have lots of bins out there. So from swords, arms, it's all going to be broken down, and you just go in, you pay $40 and go build your own figure, build whatever you want.
And you also get a raffle entry if you pay $40 for that.
You do get that. And then we've got Scott Warren that's going to have some paint sets discounted. Not only that, he's going to be giving his own personal painting advice as he's walking around. I mean, that's invaluable. You can't even put a price tag on that. We've got, Matt Stein, and his customs. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. So that's one of the biggest things. We've got a lot of people coming out for customs. Keep me honest.
Because we've had some recent announcements. So we got Matt with his customs, Scott with his customs. The Devil's Workshop is coming to Charlie's Collectibles. So that's not a thing I ever thought I would type into my phone. Is that I'm pleased to welcome the Devil's Workshop. I didn't think that was one that my mom wasn't going to see because I'm going to get on punishment. But there, a lot of 3D sculpts there. Greg Cook wasn't sure if he was going to be able to make it. He is going to make it, and he has printed a ton of stuff that he's bringing with him that he has not shown anybody but me yet. I don't think, and he's got a lot. And he just finished that dwarf diorama that we saw first with Ish. That he has. That thing is unbelievable.
That thing is crazy. So looking forward to that. And it's a great time to come out too, because if you're looking for heads and you want some advice on painting, it's going to all be right there. We're trying to make just a huge event, all centered around Mythic, all centered around Cosmic.
And my sister is coming with soft good capes, cloaks. She's made like 30 already for the event of various knights and barbarians and gladiators and various things that we haven't shown yet that she's going to have there. She's been working really hard. So she's gotten great feedback. And a lot of people have reached out to her privately. I told her, she's like, "That's for Batman capes." I'm like, that's what happens. I mean, that's what people want in this space. So she's going to be there. That'll be her first time exhibiting. Then Adam Bama Freddy is going to have dioramas there. He just posted the the sewer layer that fits into a detolf that looks great, and then like the 2-story like rooftop diorama brick building. So he's going to be there. It's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so you can win giveaway things, free to enter, cost you nothing, right? It's from 10 to 6. Those giveaways happen starting at 12 o'clock every 2 hours. We want to incentivize people to stay and hang out, really. That's why we're spreading them out. So you just hang out all day. We're going to have a bunch of space. We will be up there. Ginger Kid and I are going to go up there Friday, get everything set up, ready to go. I think it's going to be awesome. So I hope people come out. We've got a lot of positive attention. A lot of folks say they're going to come. I wish Seth could come. Seth was one of the first people I talked to. He just couldn't work.
I'm just gonna put this out there in the universe, and I'm gonna blame scheduling conflict, and I'm gonna blame the thing for this because she's got a friend coming into town this weekend, and they're going to see New Kids on the Block. So I'm on kid duty. So I blame the thing for this.
I told him just put both the boys in the truck and take the whatever it is 12-hour drive and bring them with you. And like the response back I got is not Big Dub friendly, channel friendly. Just thoughts of that. But fortunately, we're going to see Seth in a little bit. So, Jason, anything else you want to add before we progress on?
Nope, I think that's it. Looking forward to it. Hope everyone that's in the area can come out. It's gonna be a blast.
I try to think. YouTubers are going to be there. Greg's going to be there. JB's Toy Trunk is going to be there. Bite Size Geek is going to be there. Jordan's going to be there. Purple Gang.
Yep,
coming. Seductive Steve is actually coming.
Now I'm really upset that I'm not going to be there.
We're going to have him eat. And if anybody watched the video today and watch Seductive Steve eat all the sausages, or if you saw I put it up on 4th of July, but I have the extended cut of him vomiting.
I gotta watch that later tonight. Then I know what my viewing is going to be this evening.
Extended cut.
Yeah, so Steve will be there. It's gonna be fun. It's one day event. We're looking forward to it, and if it goes well, we will plan for another one in the future that we can try to work with everybody's schedules and make it kind of just a big hangout event, which I think would be great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jason, thank you guys.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
Yep. Oh, there's Steve right there. He's ready to eat stuff, Steve, aren't you? All right, guys. We'll see you in a couple days.
See you in a little.
See you, man. Be good. Thanks, everyone.
It's about to get seductive up in here.
It is about to get seductive. So, unfortunately, Seth can't join us for that. But what he can join us for is just a week, 2 weeks after that. Starting August 2nd in the Raleigh area, Durham, North Carolina, for IshCon. IshCon.
It couldn't have. The timing of that couldn't have worked out any better.
I was trying to get you to come,
Yeah,
and then it just really he was like, "Well, I do happen to have to be in the state." Like, well, the state is big. It's big. It's not. It's not like it's Rhode Island.
Yeah, listen, it's a 2-hour. Listen, where I have to go is only 2 hours from where the con is. To me that 2 hours is a hop, skip, and a jump. So I mean that's to me that I do. Listen, I live 2.5 hours south of Orlando. I do that drive almost on the regular. So that's nothing for me.
Yeah, so you're coming up Friday morning, the second, right? August 2nd.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Ish is in the chat if you want to correct it. Oh, and I will go ahead and announce right now in case I forget. Next week, Ish is actually joining me on this show.
Oh,
so Ish and I will dive further into IshCon next week. So you're leaving Friday morning, right?
I'm gonna leave. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that Friday at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and I should get up to there. Pending anything, I should be there by maybe 4 or 5 o'clock the latest. That way I should be there in time to link up with you guys and do the VIP thing. And then obviously jump into our favorite thing, which is room swaps. So
yes, lobby and room swap. So Seth is going to help me. I am helping run that. Seth can help me because he's now an old pro at the lobby swaps and room swaps.
Absolutely.
So if you're not familiar, so you'll have a couple hours that Friday night where you can shop. And I don't know, Ish, if Ish is in the chat, if there's any other I think the shop floor opens. It's kind of a VIP preview night. There's a new figure, the Tusk Heavy Gunner. Will you be purchasing the Tusk Heavy Gunner? So, yeah.
Oh yes. In plentiful.
In plentiful. So you'll. Oh, I've just started it on myself, and so that will happen. And then after that, we're going to have in the hotel a lobby swap, which will be. You just can set up on the table, on the floor, on the sofa, wherever that there is space available, which I will probably get down there. I think I'm going to go down Thursday night. If not, I'll be there pretty early Friday to try to scope things out. And you can trade, sell, whatever. And it gets pretty interesting at those. So at least the ones that we have in the South. But then the most fun is in the evening after that, where you room swap. And so the way this will work, it's crazy, right, Seth? We put a marker board in the lobby.
Where all the magic That's where all the magic happens. And
so Seth's going to write room 206, which is his room. Come here at 1 a.m. and I will have Jim and the holograms figures, but they will be incomplete, no clothes.
I don't think the thing would appreciate that, considering the fact that she and the kids are going to be with me. So me trying to do room swap while the kids and her are trying to sleep might not be the best thing.
Yeah, maybe you can swap the kids. Yeah, so Ish's lobby swap will go to 10:30, then room swaps after that. But really, the way it works is if you're coming and you're staying in the hotel, you are invited to participate. So you can say, I'm selling Marvel Legends, and I'm going to be in my room from midnight to 2 a.m. This is my room number, Marvel Legends. They'll have a whiteboard. If there's a Facebook group or whatever we have, we'll post some on that too. But really, the most fun way to do is walk down the lobby and look at the whiteboard. And then just go knock on doors.
Yeah. Action figures? Do you have action figures? You have action figures, anybody?
If you go back and watch any of our Toylanta videos over the last few years, you just see it. You can just see it. Oh. And everybody that goes to Toylanta ends up covering it because it's just one of the most ridiculous things. If you go watch ICCC, something we were talking about earlier a couple years ago, it is a remarkable room swap where some of the people on our party were not they were not quite sober in that. Yes, Playboy Mags is what happened at the Toyland.
Not also that. I can't remember who did it. Didn't someone write Josh's room number on the board and they were knocking on his room
while he was asleep? Yes. Yeah. So it's silly, it's fun. But also in this community, right, at a Legions type of event, you're probably also going to find like custom stuff or like soft goods or painted heads or who knows what. I mean, really, like that's what makes it interesting at this type of event too.
We've actually had great success doing the room swaps because that's where a lot of the best deals happen. A lot of people that are selling stuff it's just stuff they want to get rid of. They don't want to bring it back with them. So you can put a pile of stuff together, work out a deal with people. And again, some of these people have like some really really good gems. Like, what is it? We went to that one in Toylanta this past year. Some dude had the Battle 2-pack of CM Punk and Macho Man.
That's right.
Yeah. I picked that guy, gave it to me for like $30. I was like smitten. I was like, dude, I would be stupid to turn that down.
Yeah, I mean, there was one room we walked into. They had a Master Universe Classics Castle Grayskull. They had the original Mirage Ninja Turtles,
I remember that.
$800 set, whatever, things like that. And then there was another room that fully had wire rack and like pegs.
Yeah.
And then we walked in a room and there was all these vintage Playboy magazines with a person laying in front of them saying, "These not for sale." All kind of the same.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, right? And so your mileage may vary, kind of thing. If folks come, I hope people come set up. I mean, we're gonna have fun one way or the other.
Oh, absolutely.
And then the next day is the shows from 10 to 6. There is a Q&A panel that D Amazing is doing in the afternoon, and then in the evening, unfortunately, Seth won't be able to stay till the evening because he does have to go about the rest of his venture in North Carolina. Is the Cosmic Reveal panel, kind of like a G-Con type of thing, where they reveal the new wave of Cosmic Legions, and you see the prototypes and the Paint Masters or whatever, all that kind of stuff. JB's toy trunk. Oh, he owes beverages. Wow.
He's late.
JB's toy trunk will be at IshCon. I believe it is now confirmed that JB's going to be there.
Yeah.
I know Greg's coming. Kent will be at.
Kent's going to be there. Yeah.
Yep. So it'll be a very fun event. And again, next week we'll have Ishon. We'll spend quite a bit of time talking to Ish about IshCon, and then we'll dive into some of the stuff that we're about to dive into with Seth as well. But anything else you want to add there, Seth?
I'm looking forward to this IshCon, man. I mean, listen, I love getting out of the state, and I love going to other places because that's where you find all the best stuff. So I'm excited to see what's going to be at IshCon. I'm excited to find out what's going to be in the room swaps. I'm excited to go pick up some cosmics, but the key thing here, the most important thing is that I'm excited to see you guys more than anything, because we always talk about how we don't get together enough throughout the year. So, being able to see you and Greg and Kent and JB and, and everyone else, I mean, that's the most important takeaway. The toys are secondary and the friendships are always first. So
what I appreciated about Toylanta over the years is it feels like, for whatever reason, whether I do a good job of convincing people to come to that show or whatever it is that happens, each year at Toylanta, it, like, our group gets a little bit bigger. And like this year, JB was there for the first time hanging out with us.
Yeah,
and
Bite Size Geek was there. Yeah,
a few more people. And like we always say, Seth and I are both very large personality people. We're not hard to find usually at a con floor. We're doing something silly, and come walk around, hang out with us. And sometimes you end up in the car and you didn't ask, and other times you did ask and you end up in the car. You never know what's going to happen, but come hang out and have a good time. But what's been interesting is as that's happened at Toylanta. I mean, I think is the first time we met was at Toylanta, or one of the first times that we really hung out was at a Toylanta. Was it Castle? I don't know. Like, time is
the very first time I met you, it was just me, Mike. It was just me, Mike, and Jan, and we drove up and we hung out with you and Dave.
Potato Mountain.
We went, Potato Mountain. We went and we did a little hunt around, your area, and then Toylanta was the following year.
Castle year.
Yeah, Castle year, which that was great because then that's when me and Josh met for the first time. Austin joined us.
That's right. That's right.
And we had so much fun in the castle.
But so Toylanta happens, but then now, like, we all have so much fun there. Like, Ron coming down for Toylanta was the first time a lot of us met Ron Century, Collectible. But now we find ways to connect at things like this, like at IshCon or whatever the case, ICCC in Nashville. Yeah. And like, I've been down to MegaCon before, and we need to get back down to Florida again because you guys are always driving up to us. But there was that one year we were at SeaWorld and MegaCon. I don't even know. We did so many things. So it's what I like about it is it almost is irrelevant to what the convention is. It is the community aspect of getting to go do a thing that we enjoy together, which I think has become really special in that group of people.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, the toy shows are just secondary. I mean, like me and you have talked about quite some time, like how we would just love just to hang out off camera, just hang out, go do stuff, and just hang out. Again, the toys are always secondary.
It's a good segue, I think, into what we're going to talk about further. Whenever we're all together, both of these are real conversations. We should have a trip where we go to a thing and nobody films, right, and we just hang out. And then there's also been a time where we said we should rent an Airbnb and put cameras in every room and live stream for 48 straight hours like Big Brother. Both of those conversations happen in like the same week.
All the time. It never fails. It's like clockwork. Somebody always brings it up. They're like, when is this happening?
When are we doing the Big Brother? And we got really, really close. When we were coming out of COVID, maybe like we were going to do it for the Toys for Tots or a charity or something, and something happened. it made it where we couldn't do it anymore. Like we were really close to doing that as like a holiday event to raise money, and then something like out of anyone's control made it where we couldn't do it.
Yeah, we definitely need to, figure that stuff out and just, do that stuff. I mean, but listen, everybody's schedules are getting a little nutty right now because, kids are getting back to school. Some of us are actually becoming first-time parents. So we don't know what schedules may arise from that. Others have kids that are, doing other things, work and everything in between. So it's like, again, we try to squeeze things in when we can. And again, I was so excited when Brian was like, hey, this is falling out when you're going to be in North Carolina. You should definitely try to make your way over. And then of course, my first reaction back to him was, got to check with the thing. Because if the thing, because this trip to North Carolina is more for the thing, because it's like she doesn't really get to see her dad that much. So this is like a whole week where, her and the kids get to see their grandfather, and she gets to hang out with her dad and everything. And it's like we basically sit on the beach for the week. And how silly is that? I literally live 20 minutes from the beach, and I'm driving 12 hours to go to another beach, and I'm not even a beach person.
Are you going to be in the cheapies?
Oh no, I'm just going to be sitting inside all day, probably just lying on the couch, just sleeping.
Well, playing with figures that you buy at IshCon.
Well, that's what I was just telling you before. I'm like, I'm going to bring all my camera equipment with me, and I'm just going to sit on the deck and just film figure reviews for the week and just upload and do stuff. So
you'll probably go to the NECA Funko section too at some point.
Well, so there's a place that Kent told me about that I went to the last time I was up there. It's called Memory Lane Comics. And I've been there, and it was actually a really cool shop. I don't know per se about Walmarts and Targets in the area, but I guess I'll have to do my due diligence and Google stuff on the internet machine and see what's in the area.
I am interested, Ishwar. I'm not sure if you're still listening. Our man Walter, the leader of the cabal, just moved to South Carolina. I think he 2 days ago drove from California, and I don't know if they're actively moving or they're already there, but he's got to be pretty close to IshCon. I wonder if Walter will make an appearance, and if he makes an appearance at IshCon, we may end up at karaoke set. That just tends to be what happens,
Listen, I'm telling you this right now. We full disclosure, everybody, we're pulling back the YouTube curtain a little bit. All right. We have planned numerous times to go do karaoke. And then come time when we go do it, everyone backs out except for me and Dub. Yeah. Yeah. And it upsets me because
this is the karaoke, like if you see it on the channel, like we brought Josh and Karina there one time where you're in a private room.
Yeah.
And so it starts off, it's going to be like 20 of us doing it. And then it's just going to be Seth and I singing to each other like Whitney Houston. And we probably still should do that, but then we'd have to leave all our friends who are in town to hang out. So that's another, it does. It always fails.
We were fortunate enough to have our first duet at Toylanta this year, so that was fun. And of course I made everyone laugh at the end when I was like 69, everybody.
Yes. So good times, right? I mean, I think convention videos are on all of our channels probably the most popular things. Like they're what people love. I remember Castle Dub. There were so many, and this also was timely at the time. Many things about this is like the Avengers Infinity War of YouTube, toy YouTube, because we were all together under one roof fighting the common enemy of that hidden room and the
dolls and the mice.
Dolls, yes. That's an all-time video. I saw some channel I watch. I don't even remember what it was, what genre or anything, but some YouTube channel I watched that is a pretty big channel now, but had a season where they were quite small, like really small. And they've started to put out like greatest hits videos where they're going back and taking some of their old videos that people have never watched and re-uploading now that they have so many. Yeah. I was like, that's a pretty good idea. Cause like I have like Castle Dub, I think I have a much bigger audience than I did then. And I know a lot of people saw the video, but like Steve and I getting the drone out of the tree that is even before Dub Life began. And I mean, it's one of the craziest videos. There's certain things that I've thought, like all of us probably have, like really, if you just stuck back up a Funko Casino with certain one.
No, so there's footage. So there's footage of stuff that I've never even posted. I've never even shared with the world. I have a whole folder on my external hard drive, and it's called the Lost Hunts. And there is stuff on there that would blow your mind, that would probably make you laugh. The things, again, I've actually mellowed out over the years. So if anybody remembers me from my days at MCE, I used to be a little bit more outlandish than I am now. But I've got all kinds of footage that I could literally just post and people would be like, "Oh my God, why did you not share this originally?"
When your time at MCE ended and you moved on, you were like Finn Balor. You won't be the demon anymore. You won't use the catchphrases anymore. You left those in the past.
Well, it's funny because I get asked that all the time, like, and like people even leave comments on the videos now. They're like, "Hey, what's poppin', Seth?" Listen, that's cool. Listen, it's a part of who I am. It's a part of who I was. It's a part of my history, but just like anything else, just like people, just like athletes, just like wrestlers, you want to evolve.
Yeah.
And that's the where I'm at now was my next evolution. I miss saying the catchphrases. I'm not going to lie, because, people love hearing that, and people are always like, "Oh, does MCE own the intellectual property? Is that why you can't say that stuff anymore?" And I'm like, "No, I own it all. It's all mine. I just wanted a fresh start."
Well, and you never know when the black and white will run its course, and you got to bring back the red and yellow for one final run. You never know. And that's a good segue. So we're going to talk about one thing that I actually don't know real well about Seth, as well as I know Seth, is, what we like to talk about on this stream once we get through kind of the intro and the promos is like, why are we doing this? Why, as grown adults, are we spending a not insignificant portion of our salaries, our incomes on this? Like, how did we get here? Where did we come from? Where do we go? Why do we do it today? How does it help us? And so, like, the things I know the most about Seth is wrestling has always been a major part of his life. And then if you watch this channel, the 80s stars, the big action blockbusters of that time frame are important to you. So, as a kid, were you collecting? Were you buying Hasbro wrestling figures? Were you buying some of the stuff that you're buying today?
Oh yeah,
it's amazing that you've pivoted back to retro in the last few months. And so, talk about your origins, kind of.
So as a kid, as a child of the 80s, like most of the people around our age, I had Transformers. I remember having the LJN Thundercats. I remember playing with the original Power Rangers. I've had G.I.
You're a little bit
Joe.
younger than me, right? You're a little bit younger than me. I'm 42.
I'm 41. I'm only a year younger.
We're very similar then.
Yeah. So, and again, I used to remember all the time. So again, I lived in New York until I was about 11. And then we relocated to where I'm at now in Florida. I don't know how many people remember Walgreens and Eckerd bought them out. There used to be like a drug place called Genovese, if anybody remembers Genovese. And it was something along that lines of like a Walgreens and an Eckerd and a CVS. And where I grew up in Queens, in Whitestone, there was Whitestone Shopping Center, and we had one of those Genovese. So I remember all the time, like either my mom or my dad would take me to that shopping center, and we would go, and they would have the Hasbros on the shelves, and I would always get one. And I mean, again, back then those Hasbros were what, $3-4.99. I mean, like, compared to what they are now. I mean, but that again, wrestling's always been a thing. I remember, again, living in New York, my dad taking me and my older brother, to Madison Square Garden, and we would watch all the old WWF shows, even going out to Nassau Coliseum in Long Island. And we would go to all the house shows and events that they'd have out there. Wrestling has just always been a huge part of my thing. And, the funny thing is like, as a kid, I got into collecting, and then as I got older, we all kind of pivot, when we all get through like middle school and high school, because, some of us, play sports like myself and Dub did. So, we get wrapped up in that, and, we lose sight of what we used to do as kids. But then we get to a point where we got older, and, so it's like, I met my wife right out of high school. I was 18 when we met, and my wife is older than me. So we met right out of high school, and she was actually a wrestling fan too. So we would do all the wrestling stuff together and everything. And then
I think that's so cool when I see her story, because I'm, not everybody
your friends,
to follow. Yeah. But I see her story. Her story usually has more than yours when you're at wrestling events, which I think is cool.
Yeah. I because when I'm at those wrestling events, like, I try to be in the moment. That's the whole thing. I try to be in the moment. I try to enjoy the atmosphere. I try to enjoy what's around me, because it just mentally, it takes you back to a place. But and then when we started dating, I was still buying wrestling figures. Like, I had classic superstars. I had all the old Jack specifics. I mean, like, I had.
So you didn't. So you stopped collecting when you started doing other things, right? Your interest just shifted in like middle school, high school. But did you get rid of everything at that point?
So after me and the thing moved in together, when we were moving in together, I got rid of a lot of stuff, because, we moved into a small 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. So it's not like, I had room to put up any of my stuff. So sure. I gave my stuff to a buddy, all my wrestling figures, to a friend of mine who had kids. I just gave it to them. And I mean, it was now I look back on it, it was a stupid move, because, it was probably thousands upon thousands of dollars of.
I thought you were going to say you gave it to that guy. What's that guy in the storage unit for on the major wrestling ball? What is his name?
Jesus Christ. Super Gabby. Yeah. Super Gabby.
Yeah. That was your friend you gave it to.
So no, I gave it to a buddy of mine who I was working for at the time, and he had small kids, and they were into that. So I was like, you know what, let the kid pass it on to people who are going to enjoy it. That was my thought process.
Well, it was after you got stopped, quote unquote, playing with toys, and you started doing other things, you had it, and then you got rid of it as you were.
I was in my adult. I got rid of it. I was already in my 20s. At that,
Dr. Strange, $10 super chat. You didn't have to do that, Dr. Strange. Are we playing that? That's a good question. Coming to NYCC. It's a little off topic, but it's so I know the Four Horsemen have announced that they are going to be at NYCC. Bits and buttons. And the past, at least last year, maybe last 2 years, you've gone with
3 years. I've been there to help out Bits and be at the booth. I can't give anybody a straight answer right now. This is probably something that's going to come down to the last minute or to the wire, because of my personal things and work. So I don't know. I can't really give a straight answer on that. I would like to, because I know the Mythic guys are going to be there this year, and I think that's a big thing, and I don't think I'd want to miss that. But again, it always boils down to scheduling, because when I go to do New York Comic Con, I'm gone for almost like 10 days. That's almost like a 2-week ordeal for me, because I actually drive up with Dom in the van, and that's about like 2 days worth of driving.
Last time you went to all those ollies, it's so
we
fun.
stopped.
We're going to talk about that, by the way.
Yeah. That was the best.
So I, believe it or not, am actually trying to go to New York Comic Con. Very similar to Seth. That time of year, October, is just really, really busy with work, because it's right before everything kind of slows down at work with Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays. So everybody's jamming in. You got the end of Q3, and you're jamming a bunch of stuff in October. But this is a completely honest statement, and Natalie and I just talked about it too. That I have a client meeting that they want to do on site that is at Hudson Yards in New York City, and sometime before the end of the year. And so I actually have made a suggestion in the workplace of the Tuesday before at New York Comic Con, being we can do our Q3 review, blah, 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 blah. That would be the perfect day to do it. And if we were able to pull that off, then I will go to New York Comic Con at least for a couple of days. It's also hard for us, like we were talking about earlier, because Kaya performs every Friday night. You know? So that starts in a couple of weeks. And, you know, I try not to miss any of her performances. You know, you want to be present for those things. So, but we'll see. I am actually trying to get to New York Comic Con.
Okay. Well, you might that might sway my decision. You know, so
I will know probably sooner than you, because that'll be a thing that needs to be planned a couple months in advance. So in the next few weeks, I'll probably figure out if I'm going to be able to make it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
so let's go back. So you've gotten rid of stuff. You've got married.
I got rid of stuff. You know, I got married. I got married really young. I got married when I was 23. You know, and then I had my first son when I was 25, which medium sized Poppin is actually going to be 16 in like 2 weeks. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Over here.
You know, so yeah. So I you know, again, I had my kids and everything, and you know, and I had little Poppin when I was 30, and you know, I was, you know, going through the motions at that point of trying to establish myself in the career that I'm in now, and you know, and other things, and you know, I was coaching you know, medium-sized Poppin, playing baseball and other things, and
well, in that time, like in that kind of decade,
I wasn't collecting at all. I didn't have
not
anything.
At all. You had gotten rid of everything and you weren't collecting?
Oh, yeah, everything was gone. I had no, you know.
What about like sports memorabilia, like other, like not figures, but other?
I've always had sports stuff. Oh yeah, I've had autographed baseballs. I've got autographed Yankee stuff. Oh yeah, all that stuff.
The whole Mets section that is above your bed that you cherish. That section.
The Mets. Mets.
Yeah.
No, the Yankees, good sir. We don't talk about the you know, we don't talk about the Mets.
Yeah, but you were still collecting things, just figures were not.
Toys really wasn't there. I mean, every once in a while, like I'd grab a pack of baseball cards or something like that, just to, you know, just to see what was out there.
Belts or you know.
I have that belt right there. That was actually a Christmas gift from the Thing back in 2002. So that's how old that is. But yeah, I mean, not so much, but you know, it was actually one Father's Day, and this is what got me back into it. You know, the kids gave me a Hulk Hogan Funko Pop, and I was like, this is kind of cool. I was like, all right.
When do you think that is? Like 10 years ago, 2014?
No, that may be what are we in 2014?
24.
Yeah, maybe about like 7-8 years ago. Okay.
Because this I've not talked about really much ever on the channel, but my older sister Kimberly and I, that's how we met James, our friend James that managed GameStop for a long time. We were very big Pop collectors right away. Like, for whatever reason, we're like, oh, look at this. I can get a Lino. Like, I had all these really stupid expensive things that are $1,000 Pops now that I would open them so quickly because I didn't want to carry all the boxes home. I'd throw the boxes away in the mall. Like, I just bring home because you buy like 12 Pops from GameStop. Yeah. You're like, what am I going to do with this? And so I just dump them out and throw the we were collecting them hard. And that was, I think, probably like 2013, 14.
That was like when they were first starting, like really coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't even think they had subdivided the lines yet. Like, it was just Funko Pop. And then wrestling, I think it's probably not too long after that. They were pretty quick to have a license, I think.
Oh yeah. WWE was quick to get a license with them, and you know, like I said, the kids gave me the Hulk Hogan one, and I was like, this is cool. So of course, just like anything, I do my due diligence, and you know, I looked into it, and I was like, man, there is like a whole world out there of Funko for the licenses that they had at the time, with whether it was the Marvel superheroes, some of the movies and things like that. So yeah, naturally at that point I fell down the rabbit hole and I just started grabbing everything and anything in sight. And then collecting escalated even further when, because me and George work together. George came with the concept of starting MCE, and he was like, I want to have other stuff on the channel besides what he was doing at the time with statues. So he's like, you want to do this, show off these Funko. And again, I was actually even getting the subscription boxes, the Marvel boxes and the DC boxes and stuff like that had the exclusives. So that's how I started out.
Oh, collector core.
The collector core. Yeah, that's how I started out, was doing those boxes on the YouTube channel. And George was like, "Hey, come do it. Give it a shot." So it started out with the unboxing.
Like, what time frame is that?
That was like 2017.
Okay.
And then I did that, and then I did the Funko stuff. I did the Funko stuff, and then I started doing like Funko news videos, and then somebody hit me up and they're like, "Hey, why don't you start doing Funko Pop hunts?" And of course, I do my due diligence. I go online. I see YouTube. I see, okay, Funko Pop hunting. I see what they are, just so I can grasp the concept of what it is. And
for those in the chat, and there's a lot of positive comments in the chat. I appreciate everybody's kind words. If you're a relatively new collector, or at least paying attention on social media, Funko Pop hunting and pops were humongous on YouTube at this time.
Absolutely
huge. The action figure hunts, no. In fact, I think our buddy Josh is one of the first people that really got hunting action figures. He suddenly blew up. But at that time, pop hunting, because there were all the exclusives, all the different stores.
Yep.
And I mean, I watched them all the time. I thought they were incredibly interesting to see, especially Comic-Con time.
Oh yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, getting into trying to win a lottery at the Funko booth so you can get in. You can get in there and get the exclusives. Listen, I've lived it all when it's come to Funko. I mean, with the highs, the lows, But so I started doing the pop hunt videos, and that's where the gimmick what's popping came from, and and all the catchphrases.
That's what so many people don't realize, is what's popping was because it was Funko Pops. I don't think most people that watch you today necessarily know that.
So the funny thing, I love telling this story. So I go to the group. So I go see George at work, because back again, pulling back the YouTube curtain a little bit. For people that don't know me, I'm very good at coming up with gimmicks and stories and things like that to find ways to entertain people as they're watching the videos, because I always feel like you're coming to YouTube to get entertained. I want to give you some form of entertainment. If you're going to watch it, I want to make you have a good time. So
Agreed.
George was trying to, George was like, "Oh, have you come up with any names?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What's poppin'?" And him and all the other guys around started laughing. They're like, "That's the most stupid thing ever. It's never going to work." And then, of course, the worst thing you can ever do with me is tell me when I can't do something, because it only motivates me to do more. And I did everything in my power to get that gimmick over. And I sure as hell did.
Well, and if you had just started your video saying, "Hey, what's popping, guys?" it wouldn't have worked. But
no.
Everyone wants that. You can give it to them. It's on my channel.
I'll give it to them. Yeah. Every star be like, "What's popping, everybody?" And people love that. People loved it when I used to yell, "Pop gods!" All that stuff. And it was fun.
You'd hear it yell. We'd be at shows. You'd hear it yelled across the room.
Everywhere. Listen, there was a time where me and Mike and George were outside of Kate's Comics, and this white SUV pulled up, and there was a kid in the back, and he rolled down the window, and as his parent driving by, he yelled out, he was like, "What's popping?" as he was driving away. I mean, it's, you know, it was cool. It was, you know, it was nice. It's cool to have a catchphrase, you know, that people, you know, that people yell, you know. So then I did the pop hunts for quite some time, and then I actually kind of started to get turned off from Funko because I didn't agree with a lot of the politics that were behind the company. You know, they made it very difficult for people to get exclusives.
Yeah,
And
by politics, he doesn't mean like their carbon footprint policy.
Oh yeah. No.
He's
I
like
just their business
nature
model. I'm
of-
sorry, I should
Yeah, the
elaborate.
nature of acquiring.
Yeah. You know, it got very difficult to acquire stuff for them, especially the exclusives. They never fixed any of the any of the issues, even though people would reach out and, you know, and again, at the end of the day, yeah, they're a business and it's a cash grab for them. But you got to understand that you're gonna turn some people off.
Yeah.
In the process of that. So I started to get turned off from that, and I started to move more into the realm of figures, not only because, you know, with the figure, see, I've always said this, you can do more with the action figures than what you can do with a pop. The pop, you either keep it in box or you take it out of box. At least with the action figure, you've got accessories. You could pose it. You could do figure photography. You know, there's all different things you can do with it, and that kind of what really enticed me and shifted my gear a little bit. And I just didn't go cold turkey. I made a very strategic transition to where I was still buying pops, but I would pick up an action figure here and there. And then I would start to slowly pick up more action figures and less pops. And then it became more about the toy hunting than the pop hunting.
So before we go into figures, when you were collecting pops, which is not a short, it was a period of time in your life, what were you buying? Were you scratching the wrestling itch, and were you trying to get, what types of pops are you looking for? Because I know, yes, you wanted to get chases and stuff because that's what made things fun in that world. But what were you buying normally?
Oh, I was buying everything and anything under the sun. I mean, like I was buying all the Marvel stuff. I was buying all the wrestling stuff. If there were any movie ones that came out that I wanted, like old cartoons. Like I loved the Chrome when they introduced Chrome Pops. Yeah, I love Chrome. I loved the Chrome stuff. And one of the things that I used to do, which was like crack, I was on crack basically, is that a lot of these Facebook groups had raffles, and they would call them waffles because you couldn't technically call them raffles on Facebook due to
if you use that word,
certain restrictions. If I told you half of the stuff that was in my collection that was all high end that I won off those raffles, it would blow people's mind. I won the full set of Thundercat pops. I'm talking about commons and SDC exclusives, all that stuff. I won the full set on a raffle for $25.
Wow.
I've won $300-400 for pops that were $300-400 pops. I've won for $5 to $10 on those raffles. I mean, it was crazy.
And of course, the Funko Casino, which is my personal favorite.
Everyone loves listen to. So no spoilers, but we did get it. Tuesday's video. There is a casino of some sorts. So
we've had the Funko Casino, of course, the very memorable lightsaber casino. Yes. We had something else at some point. Casino, I don't remember. Was there a mystery snacks casino we might have done something like that?
Yeah, we did that at your house one time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that punishment, always on punishment.
So those videos are not great for pocketbook, but they are very fun memories.
Dude, the one, I think it was one of the very first episodes of the Funko Casino where me and Mike and Jan were at MegaCon, and I found Toy USA, and they had mystery mystery boxes.
Yep.
And the mystery boxes had a range from high-end exclusives to just maybe like $2-3 pop. It was a gamble. And we all bought mystery boxes, and we wound up all getting Chris Bryant, Chicago Cubs, Funko Pops,
yes.
which was, again, everybody still loves that because, again, everybody got Chris Bryant. And again, the funny thing is that everybody loves to see my reaction because I never win.
No.
I never win.
No, you're one of those channels that people want to watch. You never get the hit. Whereas a lot of people that do those unboxings, they want to see them get the hit, but no one ever wants to see you get the hit.
Yeah.
So Chris Bryant again.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite. There's two of my favorites. One was that, and then the other one was the one that I did with the other mystery box, and I got the Dragon Ball Funko Pop. You remember when I took it out of the box? I went outside and I kicked it, and it went and flew and down, kicked it into outer space. Yes. I went over 9,000 outside the front of my house, and I kicked it into space.
So this era, right? So you start collecting Funko, and you're filming videos, and it's with George. Now, of all the other people that have been appeared in your videos, people like Jan and Mike and Humpty. Mike is OG Geek and Humpty and all these guys, right? Dominic and Jeff and Diamond Dave. How many of them at that time, where you first started Funko Pop hunting with MC, did you know? I know Dave is somebody from your childhood, right?
I know Dave because me and Dave have been friends since high school. So I knew Dave. I've known Dave for years. Now, out of all those guys, there was Dave. Me and George have been friends for well over 15 years. We actually met at a job, and then we've been hanging out ever since. Now, in regards to guys like Mike, because Mike has opened up the doorway to other people via yourself. So Mike's kid, I always liked when Mike used to tell me the story. So his kids actually stumbled across my pop hunt videos. Wow, yeah. And his kids were like, "Oh, hey Dad, you should do that." And Mike actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to meet up for a hunt?" Now, keep in mind, I'm already skeptical at this point because, you get people, people, you got to understand our perspective. We know we're not superstars and we're not megastars and everything, but you know what? There are a lot of strange people out there in this world. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah. I mean, I think an easy way to put it, we all get a fair amount of unsolicited messages, right, in a period of time. 99% of them are, "Hey, I really like your video," or like asking a question about something we're going to be at or something, right? Normal. But all of us have had unusual things come through on the messenger, or things that make you uncomfortable or make you feel safe. Sometimes it's just a person's maybe unusual or, not great in social situations. Other times it's legitimately like, this is, I'm going to alert like Instagram or Facebook. Yeah. Like this is not proper. And so like an unsolicited message will immediately carry some skepticism, right? So I'm sure when Mike is messaging you, you're like, "Who's this guy? And what's about to happen here?"
Yeah, Mike reached out. He's like, "Hey," he's like, "I've been watching your videos. You seem like a really cool dude." He's like, "Would you ever be interested in hanging out and doing a hunt?" So at that point, I'm like, you know what? What the hell? Let's give it a go and see what happens. So I told Mike I'd meet him in a public place. and we linked up, and ever since then we've been attached at the hip, and me and him became very good friends through this. And then Mike started his channel and started doing his thing, and then he steamrolled from there. And then Mike personally has been friends with Jan and Humpty for forever. So I hung out with Mike, and then, Jan started to hang out and Humpty started to hang out. And then, again, we all became friends by extension, so.
And to go back to what we talked about earlier, when we were talking about the shows we're going to be at, the way to avoid some of that like uncertainty that just exists with the internet in general is to all be at the same show and get to meet each other in person. And then like all of us at our age, at least, I think younger kids may not have developed the skill, but we all have developed a skill of like a radar of, okay, like this doesn't feel like a threat, or this feels like a good person, or I could be friends with this person, or I could be best friends with this person. You can tell pretty quickly in person. And so like Mike and I met, like Mike tells the story of him coming to a Toylanta, and he says that Josh and I just ignored him the whole time. I'm like, well, did you say anything? I don't know who you are. Like, how would? Yeah. There was also 10,000 other people there. I don't know.
Like here, like G-Force just put in the chat. I chatted for a while in the MCE chats, and Seth was still a bit guarded when I wanted to send him a figure. Listen, I mean, obviously, I know I haven't had the pleasure of meeting G-Force, but I know G-Force is a solid dude. He's a nice guy. He's got a big heart. I know he's a decent human being, But again, there's stories that me and Brian can tell you that we're not going to get into, but there are a lot of just people out there that make situations skeptical, especially like when people want to reach out and send me stuff. It's like, I appreciate the gesture. Like anytime anyone reaches out to me, I appreciate the gesture. And I've always said this from day one, and I'll still continue. If you take time out of your day to reach out to me, the least I can do is respond back to you. Whether it turns out to be a creepy exchange, or we wind up making a friendship out of it, or you just someone that you want to converse with. If you leave a comment on my video, trust me, I respond. I look at all the comments. I respond to every comment. I've always tried to be really good about that, because if you're taking time out of your day, the least I can do is take time out of my day and respond back.
I see Giselle here. Jesse's here. They'll be. I'm assuming, Jesse, you guys are live tonight. Check out Giselle channel if you want to hear some more good chat. So I mean, it makes it hard, right? But that's why going to these shows is so important, to get to build a relationship, because almost all of us. So when I say like our circle, I think people know what I mean by that. But the general group of us in the South, and then we add in like Ron, and we add in like Josh when he comes down. But a lot of us in the southeastern United States, most of us just all met each other in shows through versions of each other, right? Someone introduced someone, and now we're all friends. And in most cases, I am fortunate, blessed in a different position, because my family likes to come to a lot of these shows with me, and a lot of them are in our home state. So a lot of the guys have met my family, and this will be my first opportunity when we're in North Carolina, Seth's whole family. So it's beyond the hobby, which is where we're going to start to tail back to. So you start to build relationships. You can owe it all to the Funko Casino, clearly. But so then you start to transition out of Pops because of some unhappiness with Funko, and then just wanting to do other things. So now you start figure hunting. A year late, 2018, that time frame.
Like 2018, 2019. And and then again, like I said, I slowly made that transition. Like I didn't just cut the Funko out completely. Like, and again, full disclosure, I always pull back the curtain, because I've got nothing to hide. I sold off my Pop collection. I sold it off through private sales, through some local stores, some other things. And I took all that money that I had made, which was a pretty chunk, which I won't disclose that amount.
$219,000. He disclosed it to me. $219K.
I took that money and reinvested it into getting into figures and Hot Toys and all that, and all that stuff. And there was, here's the thing too. The Funko Pop hunting thing was also starting to become way over saturated on YouTube. I mean, every other day there was a different Funko channel popping up, and and again, you want to, some of us do this for the right reasons, some of us do it for the wrong reasons. I like to operate where I feel like I'm in that gray area where I do it because I have fun, and this is like a hobby for me, and it's my way of escaping. But there's also the side of it too, where now we make money on our videos, but we don't make as much money as everybody thinks we do, because people don't understand the back end of YouTube. We're not making thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Listen, I'm lucky, honestly. Again, I don't care. I'm lucky if I make like $500-600 a month off of.
Josh is probably the most transparent of all of us, and I remember a couple years when he was really very hot, right? He was whatever his subscriber count was, and his videos were exceeding his subscriber count. He was getting more views than subscribers. I mean, very hot, and he was live streaming all the time. And he showed his YouTube studio monetization, and like his high month was like $750-800.
Yeah,
and that was when he was probably the hottest hunter that was out there in terms of view count. And that's not insignificant money. That's real money. Like, it's not to minimize that. It's not a job. Like, that's not, you can make that in any job in a week or two,
right?
Fairly easily. And in some cases in a couple days, if you depending on how hard you work. And so but it is nice to get that to help pay for the hobby a little bit.
Right,
so,
right. And listen, and again, full disclosure, that's what I've done. All the money that I've made, I've reinvested it back into buying figures and everything, buying myself better equipment, better cameras, better computers, all this stuff. And again, it's not like I can't afford this. I make a very good living off of YouTube, but this is just an escape for me. This is just a way for me to have fun and disconnect from my regular 9 to 5. This is like, again, this has become my hobby. And yeah, I put out a shit ton of content, but it's because I want to, because again, that's my escape. Now, when I was doing this with George, you guys used to make fun of me all the time because I was just cranking out. I was just a machine. I was just cranking everything out. And
Seth if we're pulling back the curtain, there were some versions of interventions at times where we were all hanging out and we've all done the video, and then everybody's ready to like go chill and do something off camera. And Seth's at the table editing. He's like, I got to get this out in the morning. And I'm like, no, you don't. Come over here and shoot Steve in the nuts with the Nerf gun. Like, stop editing the video and come do that. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
He was very committed to getting, X amount of content out. And I think transparently, probably that's part of the reason why you took some time away too, was to refocus on what was fun about this.
Exactly. And I got burnt out. It became more of a job than a hobby. And, both George and I were going in different directions in what we wanted to do. So, it was time for me to move on and do my own, and do my own thing. And, we are both in a much better place now. Our friendship is better than it's ever been, and I'm happy. I don't wake up, being like, oh, I got to do this today and I got to do that. No. I have myself on a set schedule of filming and stuff like that. And I've set more than enough time aside now to be with my family and do family things and have fun. And I found that balance that I've been lacking for so long. So, and you've talked about that too, finding, just trying to find balance in everything. And I found it, and I'm in a good place now. And I have fun, and obviously, like I've incorporated so much newer stuff into the videos now where people love the diamond thoughts, and again, it's just about being creative and just, being able to express myself the way I want to express myself. So you start figure hunting. At that time, it's Legends, right? Kind of. It was world of steam, full steam into Legends, into Walmart available stuff, Walmart Target stuff. Really. Oh yeah, Walmart's Targets, and then and then eventually, like I'd pick up older stuff, like at toy shows and stuff like that, older Marvel Legend, Legends. Before we get to the Hot Toys phase, which will come later, you have a true kind of mass retail figure phase. Oh yeah. Oh, if I showed you credit card statements and other things like that, oh my God, man, I was, dude. All joking aside, I was just a machine. Whatever I could get my hands on.
Seth was the. I'm going to use the term impressive. I don't know that most of the world would consider anything we do impressive in how many Walmarts we can hit.
Yeah.
But Seth was going to find it if it was. And this is, we'll get to this at the end. Toy hunting's so different now. When sometimes it's not good to find it early, because if you find it early, you buy it at full price, and you find it a couple weeks later, it's clearance already. But back then, if you didn't find it, you were never going to find it. Like that's the way it was. And I mean, Seth helped me out probably, I think, even before we met, with things with G.I. Joe, Cobra Island stuff, and that he was going to find. Because he was so frequently in those stores.
Yeah. I remember, what is it? One of my greatest accomplishments was going to 15 different Walmarts to find that worthy Captain America.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, I went all over God's green earth trying to find that, and I mean that was like.
Now in that era, do you think a lot of there's the collecting aspect of it, but like I think that era, at least for those of us that are on social media, is collecting. So much of it was driven by the MCU and not from our childhood and nostalgia. The MCU was so hot, and you wanted worthy. I have no attachment to childhood of worthy Captain America, zero.
Right.
But you wanted to find it, and you actually wanted to have it too. You didn't want to just be the person to find it. It was so hot, and I think that drove a lot at that time.
I have a personal attachment to Captain America, because Captain America is one of my favorite superheroes. I've even got my tattoo of Captain America on my arm. So I mean, for people to say that I'm not committed to Captain America, think twice. You don't go out and just get a tattoo of Captain America's shield and I didn't have like a drunken evening be like, hey, what's a good idea? I'm gonna go get Captain America's tattoo on my arm, your shield on my arm. It's like, so yeah. So I mean, again, going and searching for all that stuff. And yes, the MCU stuff was just off the charts at that time frame. I mean, anything that was getting put out, people were going bananas for. I mean, and at that point, you had to be first or you were going to be last.
Yeah. You would not be able to complete the Build-A-Figure. You just wouldn't.
Oh, hell no.
There was going to be stuff you wouldn't be able to find. So, I mean, that's that era. And I think that era, everybody kind of understands the era. But then you start to transition out of the mass retail stuff and into really where you're buying more statues. And I know you always had some statues, but then really heavy into the Hot Toys, and you get a new catchphrase. But that was about all you were buying for right at the end of the MCU run.
Yeah, I was going hard on freaking, dude. I think at like one point I had almost like, I mean, honestly, I'll never have as much Hot Toys as you had. I mean, listen.
No one needs to do that.
I bow down to you as far as Hot Toy supremacy. You were the end all be all. But yeah, man. I mean, I was buying like 3-4 Hot Toys a week, and
at stores, because you have stores that carry them.
Right,
Tate's, those stores,
Tate's is bunch of places, and then through MCE we also made a lot of connections. So through those connections, I was buying stuff and getting them on the channel and doing reviews and and things like that. But yeah, man, I mean, I was just going hard on Hot Toys. I mean, it was bad. And
so do you think, because I think this is an important focus, you think about hard in on Funko. All right, Funko's not satisfying that itch. Now I'm in mass retail. That's not satisfying my itch. While you're moving, you're also getting more and more expensive, more and more elite, right, or exclusive, or hard to get, or whatever is the definition. What were you chasing? What do you think you were chasing?
Love.
Love.
I don't know, man. It's so
this
weird.
This is the questions that we talk about on this that a lot of people won't talk about. This is the real stuff.
Yeah, it's so weird because everybody's everybody's thought process changes throughout the collection and throughout collecting. And I've done that through each phase in reality, like where Funko, I was buying everything and anything in sight. And then at one point I was like, you know what? I really need to narrow it down to the stuff that I really want to focus on. And that's what I did. And then I transitioned out of the Funko and then went into the figures. And then I was like, all right, I really need to narrow it down to what I want after buying everything and anything. And then it went into the Hot Toys. And then I was like, all right, I'm buying everything and anything. You know what? Let me focus it down to what I really want. And I've always been a huge Rocky fan. I've always been just a huge Stallone guy and a Schwarzenegger guy too. Like anything 80s action has always been my thing. And you know, you wake up one morning and you have that epiphany, and you're like, you know what? There it is. Let me dive back into the stuff that gives me the most memories, the most enjoyment, and that goes back to what you were saying, what you were chasing. I'm now chasing the memories. As we get older, we get a little bit more nostalgic at our old age. You know, time is just flying. You know, I swear the other day I felt like I was 16, and now with blink of an eye, I'm 41. Yeah. I've got a mortgage, 2 kids, a wife, and it's like it's all changed so fast. What I'm chasing is the nostalgia from when I was a kid, because that takes me back to a happy place in my life where I had no bills. I had no responsibilities. I was able to be wild and free, and all the stupid stuff I used to say in jokes as a kid, and, you know, sitting there and like, I always joke about this. My parents, I love to death. God bless them. And obviously the times are different from back in the 80s to where we are now. What parent in today's time would let a 6-year-old sit down and watch the original RoboCop? Oh, no, sir.
Yeah.
No, sir. So I was watching RoboCop when I was 6 years old. That movie at the time had to be one of the most bloodiest, graphic, most violent movies ever.
But they were making toys of it.
Yeah, they were making toys of it. Yeah. But I watched that. And I loved playing with the figures as a kid. I remember having the Kenner RoboCop where you feed the caps into the back of it, and you would click the thing, and it would like make the cap noise, like he's shooting the gun. Dude, bits and buttons a couple weeks ago. Boom, on card.
So you found now some purpose, and I have a theory that I know I've talked with some of you guys, that there's an element of the answer. What was I chasing? Like, how did it become? I'm collecting all these things that I don't necessarily love. I like them.
Yeah.
And I think it's still a version of childhood nostalgia, where, because don't get it twisted, we all wanted to have the new toy first as a kid. We wanted to be the one that brought it to school first for show and tell, or I still can remember that my buddy Philman had the Sega Genesis, and I didn't have a Sega Genesis. I wasn't allowed to have it, and he had it and then he got a TurboGrafx 16, and I was so mad that I never even heard of this thing. Like, I didn't know what it was. But I come over and I'm playing Bonk's Adventure. I'm like, man, his mom must love him more. I don't understand. You know, there was an element of you wanted to get it first, show off, to keep what we call as adults keeping up with the Joneses, right? An element of, I can get this too.
Yeah. I remember my dad, when we lived in New York, my dad used to work in the city. And I remember one night my dad came home from work, and he called me and my older brother into our living room, and he goes, "Hey guys," he goes, "I want to show you. I picked this new thing up for you guys." And I remember clear as day, he pulled out a Sega Genesis, and it came with Sonic the Hedgehog. And, you know, and then I remember me and my brother getting Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. And we played the hell out of that. Me and my brother used to play the hell out of Toe Jam and Earl. I mean, I mean, dude, I could go on for dude. I remember when we got Sega CD, and me and my brother were addicted to playing Night Trap in Tomcat Alley. I mean, you know, it was just crazy. I remember when my dad came home with a Super Nintendo. And I remember when, for my birthday, I remember it had just come out. My dad got me the Super Scope 6. Yeah. And I remember playing with that. I mean, listen, my wife still has her childhood Atari sitting in our closet. I mean, wow. It's crazy.
And I think, you know, those memories is what I think most people that keep collecting. Now, there are people that hop in and out of this hobby, like any hobby, because they try it out or it becomes popular or mainstream and they try it out. Yeah. It's not for them and they go away for whatever reason. It's fine,
they hit their fill and they leave. Yeah.
You realize maybe I don't need to spend $600 on plastic. Maybe that's not what I need to do. You know, whatever reason, that's fine. But I think so for me, and people were referencing the fire sale. What I think is, because it's not really on my channel very much, but the first time Josh filmed my collection, and that video has, I think, over 1 million views. It is a very well-viewed video. That was a Marvel Legends collection, primarily. I had every Marvel Legends at the time.
Yep, I remember that.
And most people don't really remember me being a Marvel Legends collector, because most of my time on YouTube, I didn't collect Marvel Legends. But then I had them all. And that was the video that on his channel got really big. And I sold all that stuff off once I because I had been buying some Hot Toys for a while, like early ones. But then they really started to go, all right, they're going to put out all this stuff. Probably they got the licenses, right? They got a Marvel license and a Star Wars license. And because those early Hot Toys some of them are really bad. Like, and they're just random movies that there's one of, right? They just got some random license. And so then I really devoted my time to Hot Toys, because to me, it was like, this is the best representation of Thor, right? And I saw somebody ask about the Odin Marvel Legend. I think that figure looks good. I may actually get it. But the Thor Hot Toy, all right, that's what I'm going to do. And then because I also, admittedly, struggle with OCD and completism, it's like, all right, well, now I got to get all the Thors. And then it goes, well, maybe I should get all the things. And I was early enough where all that stuff I was just pre-ordering from Sideshow. I wasn't having to chase the aftermarket.
No,
I was just,
you do that. You do the payment plan, and that was it. Yeah.
Right. And at that time in my life, you know, that we're talking like in the 2015, 16, 17, 18 time, I was traveling 250 days a year for work. So most of my year, I was on an expense account. My bills, I built a house that I was never at, and I didn't do much else. So I could afford that stuff. My power bill was next to nothing. My water bill was next to nothing. I was very rarely having to pay for my own food because I was on expense account. So I started buying those. And then, but the realization that led to the fire sale was during COVID, and stuff just kept piling up, right? Because it sure didn't slow down the packages arriving.
No.
The next year it did, but that year it did not. And so I don't, you don't see anyone for a while. You can't go to the shows. You can't stay in the hype part of the hobby where you connect. And, one of the challenges, I think, from a mental thing, and I think Seth can attest to this, when we're all together, we're not the greatest influences on each other at cons. I have got Seth tested by Mythic Legions multiple times that he has been either given away, sold, given to me, but you get up in the zone and it feels good. And that's, it's a different thing. Yeah. But all of that was removed from me. And I just saw $250, $250, and I didn't have the energy. Work was really challenging. I'm like, that's $4,000 just sitting here beside me. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I really doing? And I'm going, oh, it's the bad guy, random side villain from the first Avengers, the Chitauri. Yeah, I don't care about the Chitauri. Why did I spend $200 on this thing? And I realized the things I care about the most are the things that I've grown up with, are Ninja Turtles, are G.I. Joe, are The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings more than anything. And so I decided I'm going to get all the way out. And like Dragon Ball is an important thing that, so I get all the way out. And at the time I make that decision, Ninja Turtles, No one had the license except Playmates, and I wasn't interested in the Playmate stuff. Everybody knows that story. I had sold my Playmates. NECA put out one set a year at Comic-Con. I'm like, that's easy. G.I. Joe Classified didn't exist yet. Super 7-inch Turtles didn't exist yet. And so I'd buy the 6-scale Walking Dead figures that 3-0 made, the Lord of the Rings stuff. I was only buying like 3 or 4 figures a month right when I made that fire sale. It was great.
Yeah.
And then everyone on Earth started making Ninja Turtles figures, and now we're right back to where I'm like, what am I going to do with all this stuff?
Well,
But I found the connection to the things that I like the most.
Right.
And that helped break the answer to what I was chasing, which to me I think is different than some people, because I was continually scratching that itch of I need to get 1 through 100. I need to get 1 through 100. That I think probably comes from childhood. G-Force wrecking it, the checklist. Oh, there's 10 of these. I got to find the other 8. All the cross sell. But I had to break that so that I could cherry pick, like a lot of people saying. I can't just easily do that. I just can't. It's not a thing I can do really easily.
That's a tough listen, that's a tough thing to deal with. I mean, when it comes to me and what I and what I do now, I'm definitely way more methodical than I have been in the past. Prime example, wrestling figures, right? There's so many lines, there was a point where I had every single AEW figure, and now I don't have any. The only AEW figures I have are CM Punk ones. All the elites and all the other stuff, all gone. The only stuff I focus on are the Hasbros and the ultimate editions. I am an ultimate edition completist. I have every single ultimate edition. And that's because I only made that commitment because, going back to what you said about it being the best representation,
Well, and interestingly enough, when you were in your Hot Toys phase, you weren't buying those. Like, you bought some of the older ones for me because you missed them.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed it. By the time I decided to make the move to jump into Ultimates, I think I was already back like 7 or 8 series, 7 or 8 series I was already behind, and fortunate enough for me that you were getting out of it. And I was like, oh, well, I'll be more than glad to take those off your hands.
That's a sidebar conversation, but similar. One of the things I think companies need to be leery of. So people like Seth and I are big collectors. Like we spend a decent amount of money on our things, but several toy lines have kept pushing us away because they make too much. So we both collected AEW.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, you can't put out 15 figures a month. And so it's easy to say, well, just buy the ones you want. That's not the way I collect. And so I just had to stop the line altogether. Nope, I'm out.
And it's not even, putting out too much. It's putting out the same character over and over again. And I just said this. I did a video a couple of weeks ago when they announced what the San Diego Comic-Con Ultimate Edition was going to be with Shawn Michaels. Like, okay, that's a cool representation of Shawn Michaels, but this is going to be the 3rd Ultimate Shawn Michaels. I don't need any more Shawn Michaels. I don't need 15 Ultimate Edition Hulk Hogans or 20 different Ultimate Warriors. Just put out what in my mind, the Ultimate Edition line should be the best version of that character from that time period. Now, yes, Hogan can be debatable because you need a version of the red and yellow Hogan, and you need an NWO Hogan because NWO Hogan was such a significant part in the history of pro wrestling that happens. I don't need 20 different versions of the Ultimate Warrior. I don't need different versions of Roman Reigns. Just give me the best.
Would you have been happier if instead of that HBK for Comic-Con, it was a real man's man William Regal Ultimate Edition?
Oh, absolutely, because it would have been something different. Listen, I wish that they would have continued on what they did that one year where they put out the No Holds Barred 2-pack where it was Hulk Hogan and Zeus. I wish they would have, and dude, they totally could do this, and they're totally dropping the ball. Put out another VHS version, Suburban Commando. You have Hulk Hogan has that character, and then you also have Undertaker, because Undertaker was in that in that movie. So you have the capabilities of doing something different, but they just choose to put out the same crap over and over again.
Did you get the gobbledygooker? Isn't that an ultimate?
Yes.
You have
Yes.
gobbledygooker?
I have every single one.
Is that on display? Oh, you're working on your ultimates right now.
No.
Ooh, look at that hind end. He's going to give us a shake. Give us a little shake, Seth. A little shake. Oh, there it is. Gobbledygook in the egg. In the egg.
He's right here in the egg.
That's great. That's great.
You know, that's the, again, like I remember sitting watching that Survivor Series and the egg hatching, and everybody was making a big deal about it. And he was running around,
Well,
so it's like,
so you now, in moving forward to your modern right now as a collector today, you are picking up ultimates. You're picking up retro Hasbro, retro 80s stuff, early 90s stuff.
A lot of
random Marvel Legends here and there a little bit.
I'm buying a little just because I like the way they look. And like I just did a review today, which will be up at some point this week. I did the new
Carnage looks very good.
The new Carnage. This thing is sick. Yeah. It's an awesome figure, and I'm glad I picked it up.
Yeah.
It's an awesome. I love this portrait.
But are you so like those kind of here and there cherry picks? Are you going to display those, or are you getting them and you're putting them in a tub to play with?
Oh no, they're getting displayed. I'm in the middle of constant. That's why I have so many empty spots in the detolfs. I'm trying to figure out stuff like, but like my main focus is anything Stallone, Schwarzenegger, RoboCop. I'm going hard on Batman Keaton. Batman Keaton stuff.
You need to come to Retro Toy Con in November. Tell the thing you're coming. You'll find that sealed Toy Biz. I'm going to actually be up there in a couple weeks. I'm going to be in Greenville. If I get a chance, I'm taking the kiddo to see Blink 182, which I know that just happened to your family too, right?
The thing took medium-sized Pop into his first concert because it was Blink 182 and Ethan, my older son, his name is Ethan. Ethan's favorite band was opening for Blink 182, Pierce the Veil.
Oh yeah, I think they are here too.
Yeah. So that was his first concert, and like that was something he asked for a Christmas present. So him and the Thing went down to Miami, where the Miami Heat play, and they went to that arena and they played, and he had a great time, and he loved it. And it was a great concert.
In like, I don't know, 2 weeks, something like that. And
so
it's in Greenville. So I'm going to try to swing by Toy Federation and actually talk to Ryan, see if he has a lead on a sealed back kit. Because I mean, if anyone that we know does, that's certainly
it's got to be him. Yeah,
he may have one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've gone into Bits and asked Dom a bunch of times. I was like, because Dom has just like Dom has like 3 or 4 massive storage units just filled with all kinds of vintage ungodliness. And I'm like, hey, dude, any chance you got an 89 Toy Biz Batcave in there? And he's like, Seth, he goes, I would love to tell you yes, but I don't even know what I have in there anymore. So I'm like,
well, I think it's been fascinating to watch really this year. Because you weren't at Toylanta, you were shopping a little bit for vintage, but not as heavy as you are these days.
Oh no! Now I've
on that. I don't remember maybe when you had that video where you went with Dom to like, I don't know what appeared to be somebody's bunker filled with vintage. It felt like that feel a little bit for you.
Oh, dude! So we went. So Dom had worked out a deal with this guy to buy this dude's collection, and we drove to where was it? I think it was up in Port St. Lucie or Fort Myers or wherever, somewhere around that area. It was about a good hour and a half, 2-hour drive. And he needed help. And he was like, hey, he's like, I think you should come with me, not only to help me, but to film this for your channel. He's like, because this guy has all kinds of crazy stuff. And I'm like, well, Okay,
Truly.
his definition. I'm like, his definition of crazy and my definition is crazy. So he started sending me pictures, and I'm like, all right, I'm in, sold.
Yeah.
So, and I went there and I was just like, man, I was like, it just being around that stuff brought back all the old nostalgia, childhood feels. And I remember, he had one figure. I was like, oh, I remember when I went to Toys R Us and my parents got me, and got me that. And I'm like, and it made me smile. It took me back again, takes you back to a happy place. And then again, like hanging out with you, like you don't do a whole lot of vintage, but
ordering stuff because
yeah.
of but
Ron
is the one that does it for all of us. And that's
like watching you buy that Knickerbocker stuff and watching Ron and even Dave. Dave has a whole bunch of old turtle stuff. And watching you guys grab that stuff was like, if I did it, what would I grab? And what do I draw the limit?
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to being like pretty methodical now about everything. So it's like, again, going back to the Stallone stuff, like you could see, here, let me go that way. You could see right over my shoulder, right there. There's all the Jack's Rocky figures here. Let me give it a little zoom in. You got the Jack's Rocky figures. There's all right there. There's all the Mattel Demolition stuff. You look up over my shoulder. There's all my Rambo stuff. There's all my Keaton stuff. There's all the RoboCop. There's all my Arnold stuff. So it's like, there's, and then at the end there's all my Hasbros, and you can see at the bottom of the corner, I got the giant pull string Hogan and Ultimate Warrior. Up at the top, you could see the Ghostbusters Firehouse. I got the Lincoln Hawk from over the top. I've got the talking Terminator. I mean,
that is a question when you're collecting vintage. And I would ask Ron the same question when I get to have him on. Does that mean that the collecting can be complete at some point?
Yeah, like I have, so with the Demolition Man stuff, I have everything from Demolition Man. I'm just missing the 442 fastback car, and then I'm complete with Demolition Man. Then I don't need any more Demolition Man. I have all the figures complete. I have the Bolo Jet. I just need the 442 fastback, and I'm done with that. With the Toy Biz 89 Batman stuff, I have the Batmobile.
Thought you almost had it all, and I had to tell you there was a couple things. I'm not a good influence on Instagram either. I was like, "What about this one, Seth?"
Yeah,
he's like, "That is not it." I'm like, "Yes."
Well,
yes,
no, but that's fine because I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So I have the 89 Batwing. I have the 89 Batmobile. I have the Joker van. I have Joker. I have Batman. I need Bob. I need the Joker cycle, the Bat cycle, and the Batcave. And then I'm done with all the 89 Toy Biz Batman stuff.
Because I asked that question because my only vintage thing is Knickerbocker Lord of the Rings, primarily, which has been Natalie getting for me for various gifts and such. And I have them all loose. I am not Ron. I don't know that any of us are Ron in the way that he is as particular as anyone I have ever met on condition. Because he sees things, he's like, no, I need to upgrade this condition. I'm like, I don't know what you're looking at. Like, I don't. He bought 3 different Fortress of Fangs to take them all apart to see if there was tabs missing on the inside that you would never know. So, whole other level. Like, Ron's collection is a whole other thing.
Ron wants everything mint, perfect. And you know what? Listen, for the amount of money that dude spends on that stuff, you can't fault him. You can't fault him. If you're going to spend that type of money, it's got to be 100% complete and perfect to your liking. Now, I am not as picky because over the years I was more inbox than out of box, but now I'm more outbox than inbox. So I have a video that I recorded the other day, and I'm kind of debating whether I should post it or not, because it's actually making fun of inbox people. And you know, like I took the Bolo jet was sealed, brand new in the box, never opened. And I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to break the hearts of vintage inbox collectors everywhere. And I turn the camera around and I just take my hand and just drive it right through the box. And I'm like, oh no. You know,
Yeah.
you know.
But so I asked that because, so I have them all loose. They are not all complete because, and it's like, whatever it is about my brain, the scabbard that comes with one of the figures is like $400 just to get the stupid scabbard. No,
Yeah,
I don't need it. I'm fine with it loose.
Right.
And I have them all on card except for the 3. Actually, I have one of the more expensive ones on card, but Gandalf and the 2 horses. Gandalf one day I will get. That's not a cheap purchase. That's a $1,500 to $2,000 purchase.
Right.
The 2 horses are in the stratosphere. If you can find them on card, they might be $4,000 or $5,000. I'm never going to buy that. I just know I'm never going to buy that. But so what I did now, where it's like, okay, I'm kind of complete because I'm not going to buy those 2 horses on card. Gandalf is expensive. I want to buy that at a show from someone I know. That if I'm spending $1,500, I want it to be with somebody I know, and they get the money. So what did my brain do? Well, what's another vintage thing you can now complete? Because you can't just be done. You got to find another one. So what did I start doing? I want to get every Nintendo mainline console in box. I want to get every Zelda game ever made. That's what I did, right? Even though I should be done, I couldn't be done because I'm a collector. So I found a new vintage thing, but I have the same rule. I won't buy it online. I will only buy it if I encounter it in person somewhere. I won't go get on eBay because you can be done with it, right, in a day.
Yeah.
And it's so that's why I ask, once you fill out the RoboCop and all that, will you say you're done, or will you go, well, maybe now I need Mr. Nanny, or, you know, maybe now I need fill in the blank.
You know, so again, with the vintage stuff, yeah, it's going to come to a point where you're done, and then it just and then it just depends if there's another line that you want. Now, it depends also too how much of a deep dive do you really want to go. Now, if I really wanted to continue on vintage, I mean, I got to go and get all the Rambo figures from Coleco
Playset
made.
and all of that.
Yeah, the playset and all. But I don't want to do that. I have just the Rambos, and I have Colonel Troutman, and that's it. And you know what? I'm happy with that.
I wonder if the same thing that happened to me with Ninja Turtles is seemingly on the precipice with you, because suddenly now everybody's making a Rambo figure. Modern, like it's like there went from nothing being made to you've bought however many, 5 or 6 in like 6 months.
Listen, I have all the higher ones that got put out. I have all the 3-0 ones now that got put out. Now the old NECA ones, I'm never going to be able to get those at a reasonable price point.
Didn't quite work
so
out.
What did I do? Thanks to my good buddy.
Yep.
I went to AliExpress, and lo and behold, I don't give a shit that they're knockoffs. Yeah. They're good enough. They're good enough for me. They're good enough to fill the void and serve the purpose. Listen, it's not like I'm going to be like sitting around playing with the action figures. I open them up, I pose them, they go on display, and that's it. They serve the purpose. Now, one of the things that is gonna hurt me is the vintage, is all the old NECA Rocky figures.
Yeah.
I only have 2 of those. Actually, I have 3 because I came fortunate enough to encounter them at shows. Those are not figures that you really come across every so often. And there's ones that were Toys R Us exclusives that were 2-packs that are like $400 or $500. You want an Ivan Drago? Forget about it. That thing is just astronomical.
What about the Jacks? Didn't Jacks make Rocky figures?
So I have the Jacks. That's what's in the.
Oh, you have all of them?
No, I don't have all of them.
Because they got pretty deep in that line. Isn't there a meat? Isn't there the meat? The meat's one of the most expensive figures. Oh, of course it is.
The meat's one of the most expensive.
That's
but
classic Superstars type packaging, right?
Yeah, but I decided that I was only gonna get the ones that I wanted. I don't need all of them. Like the most important ones for me was getting a lot of the Rockies, the Apollo Creeds, the Dragos, and number one on the all-time list, which you got me, was Thunderlips.
Old Thunderlips.
Old Thunderlips. It's me, Thunderdub, in the flesh, baby.
Fresh in the flesh.
So,
the flesh, baby.
Yeah.
So that's a good transition point. So you only going to get what you want. You've talked a lot about being methodical. So let's talk about like guardrails, right? Because one of the downsides of this hobby that we have talked about both experiencing
FOMO.
You get caught up in a hype, FOMO, whatever. You buy stuff that you maybe don't really want. And for both of us, that hasn't really hurt us that much because we've been selling in the height of the selling era, where in some cases probably made a good bit more money than what we spent. But that is not the case today. You cannot sell stuff off and triple your money. So what are your rules?
I have my take on this. And people can agree to disagree, which is fine with me. I think the collecting has taken a downturn because there's no more stimulus checks. I think people were getting all that stimulus money and they were looking for something to do since they couldn't go out, and people just bought stuff, and that's where all the resellers came from, because they were like, oh well, I see people doing this all the time. Well, I can do it. It seems easy enough, and that's why there was such a shortage of figures and trying to find stuff, because they were just resellers going out and buying up all the stuff before the regular collectors could get to it. And then you're paying a premium. And then of course, then it just booms the market, and it just goes from there. Now, as far as when I sell something, depending, I should say this, depending on the piece, most of the time when I sell something, I'm not in it to make money. All I want to do is just get back what I paid for it. Yeah. That's basically it in a nutshell. I don't, and people that have bought stuff from me can contest. I've either sold it to them for what I paid for it, or I've just basically have given it away for nothing. For nothing.
There is 40 hours of me live streaming selling stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of that thing, $2.
Yeah. We go, every year Bits does an event at the store where they allow people to set up tables, and me and Dave go, we buy 2 tables and we sit out there and we sell stuff, and people get pissed off at me and Dave because we basically just lowball the shit out of everybody that's there.
People, you underprice. Yep.
Yeah. And that's just because we just want to get rid of it. We have no emotional attachment to it. And again, most of the people that sell at these types of things, there are people that's maybe their livelihood, or they're doing. This isn't me and Dave's livelihood. Me and Dave make plenty of money where we could support the hobby without doing this stuff. I'm just getting rid of it just because I want to get rid of it, and it's eating up valuable real estate for something else that I want.
So is part of your rule for collecting that, like right now, you're trying to display everything you own, right? You're trying not to have boxes and stuff.
So here's the deal. Everything that I have right now physically at my house, whether it's in box or a container sitting on my patio or whatever, this is everything that I solely have on my property is what I'm keeping. I have nothing left. I have nothing left to sell. Everything is gone.
You got out of the storage unit with figures at least?
Oh, my storage unit's been long gone. Gone.
I mean, that was a big thing we were all trying to do a couple years ago, is get out of that game.
Yeah. So everything that I physically have in my house is stuff that I'm keeping, stuff that I'm not getting rid of. I have no intention to sell. I have no intentions of parting with any of it.
I think that's a great rule, and I know everybody's situation is different, but if you're paying a monthly fee to store stuff that you don't have room for, that is action figures. It's not like it's your furniture or heirlooms or things, antiques, whatever, that you one day very much will plan to use. But if you're putting Marvel Legends in a storage unit, you're paying $150 a month. for Marvel Legends, that by the time you go back to that storage unit, they're not worth that money that you paid for them anymore.
No.
And you're at, that is a rule I think we should all try to help each other with as collectors. Don't put it in the storage unit. Just don't get out of that. Whether it's whatever, and you say, well, I don't have enough space. Well, allow that to drive what you collect. Collect to the space that you have and cycle through stuff.
Listen,
whatever.
My storage unit was like $75-$80 a month for the longest time. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's going up to $200. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I don't need to pay $200 a month to hold on to this stuff. Let me just keep
toys boxes and all that kind of stuff. Yep. Get rid of it.
Yep. And that's what I did. That's when I stopped becoming an inbox person and just started opening everything up and throwing out the boxes, because again, most of the stuff that was in my storage unit, most of it was just empty boxes.
Yeah.
But now I've got exactly what I want. I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't buy things that I don't intend on displaying. Every purchase now is made is well thought out. Like, so here, what you were talking about before, like when we're all hanging out and you guys get me to buy things like the Mythic Legions, right?
Yeah.
Awesome figures, very well designed, super cool, loved it. I tried to get into it, and I just I couldn't. And it's not because I didn't want to. I just, I didn't feel it.
Well,
like I like
fantasy is not your world anyway. Like that's not.
I like the Spartan. I like the Spartan and the Roman gladiators. Like I'm not into knights and elves and warlocks and wizards, and that's not my MO. Now, when the cosmic stuff was announced, and the guys in the spacesuits, those were like, all right, now we're into science fiction. Now we're into kind of my realm. And again, I don't buy all the characters that they put out. I only buy the ones in spacesuits. That is my rule with cosmics. And again, that is something that I stick to. So every cosmic that I have is someone that's in some sort of suit. Now it's not an alien, now I know they make the one with the alien just by himself with the cloth. I don't have that guy. Right. There's other people that they make that are not in suits. I don't have any of those, just spacesuits. That's what I'm sticking with. And that's the route I'm going. And that helps me maintain my space, because the wave that just dropped, there's maybe about like 4 or 5 of that out of the wave that are in suits.
The recent one, not even that many, maybe not even that many.
Exactly. So that helps me. Okay, I have maybe there's only 3 of them. Fantastic. And that's what we'll stick with.
So if you were to look forward 6 months, 9 months, whatever the time is, and your displays look great, and people have been commenting about it. I know you've been working very hard. I get some of the behind the scenes pictures where Seth's just in just the whitey tighties, covered in sweat, with boxes all around him. But so you get all of your stuff put up on shelves. The only modern things you're actively buying, like that you're actively buying, or you're completing ultimates and you're buying space suits, cosmics. There's nothing else I'm aware of that's modern that you're actively getting new stuff as they come out. If you like it, sure. Like if it tickles
the higher Rambo stuff is modern.
That's true.
The higher RoboCop stuff, all the NECA RoboCop stuff that comes out, that's all modern. It might be re-released, but
those are very rare releases, right? Couple figures a year type of thing.
Yeah. So like that stuff, like the other stuff that I'm big into, which I love the figures for the price point, are the Jada Street Fighter figures and the Jada Mega Man figures, because those were 2 video games that I loved playing as a kid. So I have, they're behind me over there, but they're falling.
They're great. They're great figures.
Dude, for $25, it basically, I feel like it has the articulation of like a Mafex. It's just a solid figure for the price point. And I love the characters that they're coming out with. Now, again, here's where we get a little questionable. All right. Do I really need Chun-Li in a red outfit? No.
What about in a pink outfit? The Comic-Con exclusive.
No, I don't.
No
I don't
player
need
two,
that.
no
To me,
variants.
to me, the
Yeah.
blue. To me, the blue is the more iconic.
Right.
That's what I'm going with. The Ryu. Now I have the
Last
last
year's Funko one.
year's still in the box. I haven't even opened it yet. You know,
That is
because I'm
technically
kind-
a different character.
yeah, it's evil. It's evil Ryu. Totally different character. You know. Then you have the Ken and the Fei Long, and and then again, I'm trying to, again, who knows when it's ever going to show up? The Bison and the Dalsim, So
Still never found him either.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, like I like that. I like the Mega Man ones because the Mega Man one, yeah, there's different variations of Mega Man, but there's also the villains, So again, it's I like those figures. Those are nostalgia. That's what hits, and that's what I'm sticking to. Like, listen, they keep putting out all these. Mayfex is now putting out all these Terminator figures. I went on a hunt. I went on a hunt a couple weeks ago, and I found in the store they had the Terminator 1 Mayfex. They had it. They had it on sale.
Right?
Yeah, they had it on sale because the box was damaged, but it was complete.
Yeah.
They had it marked. It's normally like $100 figure. The guy had it marked for $60 because it didn't have the box. I was like, dude, I'll take that shit all day long. All day long. I'll take $60 for that.
But what's going to happen? So, and I'm asking myself the same question, not that I'm not already there, but when you do successfully transition into things that you have real love for, real nostalgia, and you run out of space. And it's not so easy to go, well, I can definitely sell these 30 Marvel Legends. Like, I don't care about them. Where everything that you have up there is a thing you do really like. You run out the room. What's going to happen? What do you think? What do you foresee happening?
Honestly, at that point, it's either going to be one or two things. I'm either going to go buy a bigger house because I need a bigger house. I need a bigger house. Or what I'm going to do until I can afford a bigger house, I will sit and have a hard look at myself and be like, okay, what do you want to display and what can you just put to the side into the meantime until you have a way to display? Because again, everything I have, I want to keep. I don't want to get rid of any of this stuff that I have. This is all keepable stuff. This is gonna stay with me until I'm on my deathbed, and then it's gonna more than likely. And I'll say this online right now because I do care, but I don't care. My older son has no interest in any of this. I am basically secretly grooming little Poppin to
secretly nothing. He's going, it's Walmart, America's favorite toy store. I'm like,
I am secretly training little Poppin to eventually retire me and take over the channel and continue on the hunts, and I will leave all this stuff for him.
Do you ever foresee getting rid of it all and being done with collecting?
I say this, and I've already said it before, so people are going to be like, "Oh, you're a hypocrite," or whatever.
And this is not like tragedy happens and it's a sale to make money. This is just a choice, a real choice.
And as long as I'm able to sustain my mentality, I think that'll be the case. That it'll stay with me. But if I get into my 80s and 90s and I start to lose my shit mentally, again, that might be, a whole nother ball game. My kids have to put me in a retirement home or something. And, but that's.
But at this point, you feel like it's a very important part of your life. It is your hobby. It is
a way of it. Listen, it is a way of life. There's no way around it. This is a way of life. You choose to make this decision. You choose to have this be part of you and who you are as a person. This is a way of life. This is who I am. This is who I've become. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to do. That's just it. I will probably be the oldest toy collector on YouTube. I hope to still be doing this shit well into my 80s and possibly my 90s if I'm still able to do it.
And if this was reversed and you were interviewing me, and everybody knows this, like I can't remember a time I didn't collect. There were times that I wasn't actively collecting, but I had a collection of some sort.
Listen, it doesn't have to be action figures. People collect all types of stuff.
Absolutely.
My wife is music. Music is her life. She has thousands upon thousands of CDs. I mean, she is dead set on music. Listen, she is probably one of the biggest New Kids on the Block fans, to where she has different variations of the same CDs in like German and Japanese and
wow.
Oh yeah, dude. She's like, listen, you've even seen me at the cons when I find the New Kids on the Block dolls and memorabilia and stuff. I buy it and bring it home to her.
Yep.
So everybody has their own little collector inside them. It's just a question if they want to let it out to the world for the world to see.
It's very off topic, but a thing I think would be interesting. So the guy's channel is Toy Addicts, and he is who films for Toy Federation. He films for Pixel Dan now. I think he films for Valaverse. He films for several different channels. And if you're ever at a show that Toy Federation's at, you'll see him, and he's got the big shoulder.
He's got the rig. Yeah, he's got
the rig. Yeah, he was at Toylanta. You saw him.
Yeah.
I've always thought it would be cool, and we've also talked about this, if someone would film us at a con rather than us filming each other. And I've always thought, for specifically that, for the times where we're looking for things for other people, maybe our significant others or whatever, none of us really show that much. And often there's large segments where we're looking for the various things for other people in our lives that aren't any of our videos, because it's kind of not what we do, right? Like, if you spent 30 minutes on a New Kids on the Block hunt, that's not exactly what your channel is. But it happens at every show where you're looking for it. I think that would be fascinating to see the other side.
Like, I went to, what is it? We were at Florida SuperCon yesterday, and there was a t-shirt booth, and my wife has been binge watching Supernatural for the past couple of months, and she just finished it. She just finished it last night. She's actually going to the con that they're doing in Orlando, where it's just a Supernatural con, and all the stars and all the stars are going to be there and everything. And she's going with her friend. And I was at the con. I was at the con yesterday, walking around, and I saw a t-shirt booth, and they had this really cool Supernatural t-shirt. And without hesitation, I was like, "Oh, I got to grab it. I got to grab it for her."
Is she going to walk around the shop floor with us at IshCon in a couple of weeks?
Oh yeah, her and the kids. Yeah, they'll be with us. We just have to make sure she's not on camera. That's my only. That's my only.
What are the chances? Not even on I can't even be on my camera.
No, sir. No, sir. You can film her hand, because that's her gimmick. The thing, you can film her hand, but in no way, shape, or form, I do not want her on anybody's.
What about her voice? Because I'm going to ask her something dumb.
Oh, you can hear her. You can hear her voice. No problem. Yeah.
So, what do you think the chances are that she makes a purchase herself at IshCon?
I don't think she'll make a purchase. I don't think she'll make a purchase for herself.
What if she's first in line to get the Tusk Heavy Gunner, and you're like shocked by this, right? And we're like, what in the world? And then you see that like a picture of like your luggage laying on the bed, and a picture of it. It's on eBay, and she's ran up to the room to put it on eBay. And then you confront her. She's like, "Hey, New Kids on the Block tickets are not cheap."
Let me. I will throw this out there right now, just because that's who I am. If in a world, if that actually happened, to where she waited in line and bought the gunner, and then I go upstairs to the room only to see her taking pictures of it and posting it on eBay, mark my words right now. You can quote me on this quote. That's grounds for divorce, because scalping doesn't fly in my house. Scalping does not fly in my house, folks.
What if it was a Star Trek figure that she was doing that with?
We don't hock the truck. We don't hock the Trek in my house. We don't have.
Well, so we've talked a long time. We're well over time, but that's normal with Seth and I. We always have a good time.
Oh,
so
yeah, we can go on for hours.
So before we wrap up, again, remember August 2nd and 3rd. If you enjoy hanging out with us, come hang out with us, especially that Friday night, the 2nd. This is what's going to be happening: is silliness, talking, having a good time, walking around the rooms. I guarantee you will laugh harder than you have laughed in a long time at something. It will happen. Ish is going to put on a great show. He's one of the most generous people. Again, remember, next Sunday, Ish is going to be on with me. We'll talk all about the show and learn more about him. I mean, he's one of the kindest people I've ever met, and I'd like to know more about him. I don't know Ish that well. But so you get to hang out with us and have a good time. I keep having people walking behind the camera doing interpretive dance over and over again. I think it's time for dinner.
Yeah.
So come see us, come hang out. But, we'll probably have Seth back on again later because I think he and I have gone through a lot of similar things together. And I really want us to be able to have people learn from things we've made. So I think as we wrap up, like what's in your journey, in the modern journey, right? So 2017, when you start with MC until today, what are some things that you want, if I'm a new collector, what are some guide rails, some lessons, mistakes that you made that you'd want to caution somebody how to make this hobby fun and to enjoy it and not get overwhelmed?
Very easy. The number one thing, if you don't pick it up and it doesn't make you smile or give you any kind of instant gratification, don't purchase it. It's very, if it doesn't hit you in the feels the minute you see it, don't buy it. Don't waste your money, because at that point you're gonna be stuck. You're gonna turn around. Next thing you know, you're gonna be stuck with 800 pops, and then you're gonna wondering where the hell your life went. Okay, don't just buy what makes you happy. Don't buy for the sake of.
You see that, Andrew Gerhardt?
Oh,
Andrew, we were just talking about you here at the house. Kai was talking about bees, and I was like, well, I in fact know someone that knows quite a bit about bees. He said he's going to try to make it. North Carolina will be great. We haven't seen Andrew in a while.
Yeah, don't buy just for the sake of buying. Don't buy out of FOMO. Buy because it's something that hits you in the feels. It's something that you're going to keep. Don't just go spending money for the sake of spending money. That's the absolute. If I can give anybody any piece of advice, that is the most number one thing, because before you know it, you'll find yourself with about $30,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah.
I'm telling you from experience, guys, just buy what genuinely makes you happy. If you don't pick it up and you're like, oh man, I remember a time with this and a time with that, then it isn't what it is. Don't let social media also influence you is another thing too. Just because you see someone else has it doesn't mean it might make you feel the same way. Again, it's about buying what you like. I don't like any anime. I don't like anime stuff. That's not my thing. That's why I don't buy it. Is it cool? Is it cool? Sure. The figures are awesome. The stuff looks really cool. I saw a lot of cool Dragon Ball statues yesterday at the con. It doesn't mean I'm going to automatically start buying Dragon Ball stuff. That's just not my thing.
A case in point. So in a recent video that Seth had, he and Dave go to a GameStop and they find the transforming turtle van.
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem to be out much yet. By now it is, but when that video came out, it was pretty new. Like it was not the thing we expected. I saw that video and I said, I didn't even know that existed. Like I was not up to date on that. And so recently, I don't think this video is aired yet because we're in the middle of a really busy season with other things. So I've got some videos in the can. But Kaya wants to run around and we go to the mall and do some things. And I go in a GameStop intentionally thinking it'll be there. And it is. And I see it because I saw it in your video and I pick it up and I'm like, I don't collect this. I cannot buy this. And I almost bought it only because I saw it in Seth's video. I was like, cool. I don't know that exists. Dave seemed over the moon to have found it. And that is a thing he is collecting. And so I had to put it down. But it was hard. And 3 years ago, me immediately buys it.
Absolutely.
Posts it on Instagram. And, I very rarely post hauls anymore, right? Because I'm trying not to participate in the FOMO on me doing it, and then also participate on creating it on the other side. Now, part of what we do in the videos does create it. That's part of it. I get it, right? But like, if we see the new thing in a Target, we see the new thing in a Target. Like, we're not going to non-show it.
Yeah, I've always been a stickler of not posting hauls, only because I want people to come to the video to watch what I get. You know, that's why I never really ever post my haul. And I don't. And if I do post something, it's after the video is already dropped and I've already done it.
And what JB's Toy Trunk has done what you do, and he's taken it to another level. He teases you at the end of his videos. You don't know what he's bought. He says, "Come back next week and I'll show you the haul." Every week, and I'm like, "Dude, I just want to know, did you buy that He-Man, man? Why we find out?" Yeah. And then he does. He always has a whole portion at a different video. But yeah, and that's, I mean, so now like I do what I would say, toys on the table. These are things I'm actively sitting there right there playing with. Yeah. I have it out and I'm playing with them. Not that I bought this. Some of it's stuff I've had, but that's what I'm actively playing. And I'm enjoying where you're posting the shelves you're working on, because you're actively participating in the hobby, not just the hobby of buying, the hobby of doing something with it.
Yeah, listen, I've the display has listen, and anybody can contest this. Any collector can. The display itself is always a constant work in progress. Yeah. You know, because you've rearranged your room a couple of times. I've rearranged my space a couple of times. Now, the purpose for you rearranging your room as compared to the purpose for me rearranging my room, totally separate. I rearranged my room recently because I wanted, when I'm live or I'm recording and I'm in the room, I wanted to have a background that was aesthetically pleasing for people to look at, not just a blank wall. I wanted something that while I'm talking, people can look over my shoulder and kind of be like, "Ooh, I wonder what's in there. I wonder what's in there. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe he might show it in one of his other videos. Let me backtrack through that." You know, so it's like I'm always thinking of ways to maximize my space, not only for to house the collection, but to also give me the best representation that I can give on camera.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's an interesting evolution for you too, because it was for a very long period of time, people begged you to show a collection at all. And it was a big deal
all the time.
And now you always have it just right there behind you.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I still get to this day, people are like, "Oh, when are you going to do an updated room tour? When are you going to do?" And again, there are YouTubers out there that do room tours 3 to 4 times a year.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that do it multiple times throughout the year. There's people that do it once a year. I will tell you again, and it goes back to being methodical. When I feel the room is ready, that's when I'll show it. Yeah. When I feel, okay, this is going to be really aesthetically pleasing to show people, and people can really appreciate the curating that I did, then I will show it. Until then,
I think that's good.
Yeah. Until then, you're not going to see it until I'm ready to show it. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, a good example of that is Ron.
Yeah.
And I was at Ron's house over a year ago, and 95% of what he has shown was done then. Not all of it, but almost all of it was already done. But he was just fine-tuning, and he made some shelf changes. He made a lot of lighting changes. And, you know, he also had, he was dealing with permits and some other things.
Right.
But he waited until he was completely ready. And even still, we haven't gotten a real room tour from Ron yet. Not a real one. When everything's said, he's posting displays, he's changing it up. And I think that makes it a little more special. And it shows he's not anybody that's putting up room tours often. It's because they do well, right? They make good money on YouTube.
It's content for that. It's content, you know.
But so anyway, I've really enjoyed the conversation, buddy. And I am especially enjoying watching you chase this vintage stuff, because I'm seeing stuff I didn't know existed, because that's not my thing. Like my thing is Silverhawks and Thundercats and Ninja Turtles and Lord of the Rings stuff from the 80s. My parents didn't sit me in front of RoboCop. You better believe it. I was not allowed to watch He-Man because he held his sword up and said, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. And my mom said, until he says, by the power of Jesus Christ, I have the power, you're not watching it. And at whatever age I was, I said, Mommy, he's never going to say that. And she said, well, you're never going to watch that show then. So a little bit different in the in the growing up. So I'm really enjoying seeing your passion too. You get so excited over these things. And I think it's really helped. I think you seem happier. You seem like you're in a better place mentally.
Absolutely.
It's been a challenge, so I'm proud of you.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. And I mean, listen, it also helps to have a support system. Like guys like you and Ron, JB and Kent and Greg and George and Jan and Dave and Mike and all the and Josh and all these guys. It helps to have a support system around you. When I stepped away, when I decided to step away, every other day or every other week or whatever, you guys were like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? We want you to come back. When are you coming back? When you come back, do it on your own terms. This is what you should do. This is how you should do it, and again, having a support system helps. And the fact that, I've also had the opportunity to through the subscribers, that, people have reached out and people were like, we want you to come back. We miss your hunt videos, and it's like it's amazing because you would never really truly think that someone like me, that's one in a billion people in the world, that would have an impact on people's lives to that point that we were like, we miss you. We want you to come back. And that means more to most people that means more to me than most YouTubers, because again, I've been very vocal about this, that I feel that there are a lot of people on YouTube are just fake and doing it for the views and things like that. And I've always told people the way I am off camera is the same way I am on camera. And everybody that's ever met me can contest that. You get the same Seth no matter what. And that's something that I've always taken pride in, because I know how important it is to be not disingenuous, Yeah. So that's that, but again, going back to what off topic, but having a support system, having friends around you that want to see you succeed and want you to be the best version of yourself, that's all I can ask. That's all I can ask for. And I say this I say it every time. Dubby is one of the most genuine, kindest, big-hearted individuals I have ever met. I would do, if no matter where I am in the world, if he needed something, I wouldn't even think twice, and I would be there as fast as I can possibly get there. That's just the type of person he is, and being around him makes you want to be a better person. And I can say that with the utmost sincerity in my heart.
Well, that's very kind. That's very kind. I appreciate that. And that's, I mean, the whole reason I've put out a video every Sunday at noon for, I don't know, 7 years, something like that. And the reason I haven't stopped, even though Seth knows multiple times I've thought about it, is because my family, everybody works in helping people. That's what my parents did. That's what my sisters do. And I don't do that anymore. I moved away from teaching what I once did in coaching, and I work in the business world, and I can help people there, right? But it's still business. It's different. And so many people appreciate what we do on YouTube, what you do, what I do, what a lot of us do, that you get you get reward from that emotionally, internally, eternally, potentially, depending on what you believe. And it's just, it feels so good to make a difference in people's lives in this little hobby. And I think for those that if the hobby becomes too much for you, and whatever version of it, like Seth stepped away, we all know that Josh has stepped pretty much completely away. And I think a lot of people are scared to take a step that they know they need to take for their mental health, because they're worried their friends won't be their friends anymore. Your friends are still your friends. Like, We're not friends because we collect Marvel Legends. We're friends because we've gotten to know each other. Marvel Legends was maybe a gateway, but now we know each other. And so, you know, be honest with the people that are in your life for your support and get what you need. And I think that's a good place to end it. But I do know, because you are the creative, you're the gimmick master. Can you give us a farewell something that captures some of your most iconic catchphrases as we sign off of this stream to prepare us for IshCon in a couple weeks?
Well, guys, again, IshCon's coming up. Come hang out with me, Dubby, Kent Poole, Greg, JB, the whole gang. We're gonna have a blast. You know, we might come across some vintage stuff. We might come across some Funko. We even might come across some hot toys. Hot toys. We might come across hot toys. We might even hit a Funko casino or two. We any you know what? That's something that we need to do. We need to
We'll have some
Funko
sort of casino. Yeah, we need to have a casino.
You know, we need to do that. And yeah, guys, I mean, you know, again, be sure to subscribe to Dubby. Be sure to subscribe to me. To subscribe to all of us if you want. And just remember, folks, as a wise man once said, that's what's popping.
Ooh, squeeze it. We'll see you at IshCon. Touch it. Oh, safety. Somebody let a safety loose.
Oh.
See you, boys. Touch that thing.